Chiropractors, today we're talking about how to get more calls from your Google business profile. If you don't know, my name's Gavin. I'm a Central Health Supply. Basically, help chiropractors with all the marketing side of things, getting new patients, keeping new patients, filling up the schedule without them having to touch it, and just for a few hundred a month. So anyway, obviously, Google business profile, it's one of the huge things out there for marketing, and obviously, we want to get more calls from it. So let's go ahead and dive into some of the things that work well for that. So first of all, what we want to think about is what the platform wants. And so we want to then align our way of thinking about it. And this, by the way, applies for pretty much any platform out there for any kind of platform change. And so this like fundamental way of thinking about things should help you through pretty much any platform or any kind of platform change. And so if we basically align our content with what the platform, the company wants, then obviously the algorithm will just pick that up and we'll start doing well. So for any kind of platform, they usually want people to use it a lot. And so that used to be just any kind of, basically anything they could do to get people addicted to it. But now a lot of them want unregretted minutes. And so regretted minutes means that they'll basically leave and never come back because they're like, gosh, that was a waste of time. And eventually they, people realize that was such a waste of time. And then they delete the app, they stop coming on the website, and they never use it again. And so obviously that's not good. And so a lot of these platforms now have been gearing towards unregretted minutes, which is minutes that people were like, that was overall a good use of time or entertaining or whatever that ends up looking like for them. So if we align with what the platform wants, again, that's the easy way of figuring out how to grow. And so usually the way that we do this is we think psychologically. So people go to Google for answers and solutions. And so if you align your profile with that goal, that's a good signal to Google that you're a really good match. So for instance, if you use your Google business profile as a way to be answers and solutions for anything related to chiropractors or chiropractic in your city, in your town, then obviously that's a good signal to Google because people will just look at that and say, okay, this is a good resource. They'll spend a little bit more time on it than others. They'll call you more than they would others. And then over time, you get kind of this cycle where if one person calls you and spends a lot of time on your platform, your profile, then that just kind of keeps going because it signals to others that, or at least to Google, that this is a good business. And then that signals to others and you get boosted more in the rankings. And so the question then is, how can we make our profile helpful and a good place for answers and solutions? And so number one of the ways to do that is images. So we got to think of what would the signals be that would show Google this is a good answer and solution place. And so one of those is the amount of time that people spend on your profile. And so obviously if they're looking at it, they'll keep going and say, oh, hey, this is me. I have that problem. I am like this person that left a review or whatever that ends up being. And so they'll spend more time on the profile to really think about things. Whereas someone that either they don't know anything about, they're not coming into, it's not a good fit, they'll immediately click off, they'll go someplace else. So basically we want them to spend a decent amount of time on the profile, which signals to Google that, hey, this is a good match. And then obviously whenever they call or show up, or because a lot of people use Google Maps, and so then Google can see, oh, hey, they actually did visit this place. Ultimately, whenever that stuff happens, it signals to Google even more that this, our Google business profile is good and it will boost the rankings. So images, one of the great ways of doing this. It shows that you're friendly and you can solve the problem that they're looking for. So if they scroll through a bunch of images and they see, hey, these people look friendly. I have that problem. I have pain in that exact space or that exact spot on my back, whatever this looks like, whatever that ends up being for you guys, depending on your specialty and your problems that you solve, that kind of stuff. They'll look through it and they'll say, we basically want them to look at it and go, that's me. I have that problem. These people can help. And so FAQs and services, obviously another one. They answer the questions they'll have easily, or they'll go someplace else because if they can't get the answer easily, is this place even open, right? What are their hours? That kind of stuff. They'll go someplace else where they can easily do that because a lot of people don't call anymore. They want an easy answer online, or they just kind of leave. Another thing is if you have the service and features they'll want, obviously you'll do better because again, we want to try and answer questions as easily as possible, as quickly as possible. Reviews, obviously a big one that a lot of people focus on for a good reason. It's because people want to know that their problem has been solved by people or for people like them, by people that they like. And so reviews are a good way of seeing that. Does this person, they're not a scam? Can they help with my problem? Does this person like me? Do they really have my problem? And so they'll go through reviews for that. So again, reviews, FAQs to services, basically filling out all the detail on the Google business profile so that people can get quick answers as opposed to having to call or email or whatever, because again, people are just trending away and away from that. And so anything to make it really quick and easy for them, the better. And then again, obviously reviews, kind of similar to images. And data backs this up. So we already know that reviews help, right? A lot of people know that. So our own testing just internally has shown that just one review per week, an average of one review per week, can increase views and interactions by 50% on the Google Business Profile. And from Bright Local, they did this big study and survey. And you can see here that obviously we know reviews again, but another thing is images. The number of images on Google Business Profile increases the number of website visits, direction requests, and calls by a lot. I mean, you can see here on this graph, we have, if you have one, obviously not very many, and it just increases until we get to over 100. And those people you can see are taking 90%, 80-90% of all of the calls and direction requests and website visits compared to everyone else. And so obviously we want, whenever we look at this, the goal then would be to have a lot of images. And so maybe we have to add 5 a week, 3 a week, whatever that ends up being. And in order to get that, maybe we just don't have 100 photos lined out that we can just throw on the Google Business Profile. But if we keep adding them week after week, again, eventually we'll get there. And so let's go ahead and actions to take, right? Obviously, like we talked about, we want to add a lot of photos, but the one-time things are add in FAQs, services, descriptions, things that give people more info on the practice again, so that they don't have to call or do anything that, again, that most people nowadays won't go out of their way to do in order to get answers. Another thing ongoing is add a lot of photos, like we talked about, and keep adding them consistently. So you can do services you perform, pictures of the staff, pictures of the building, pictures of conditions you help with. As a note, obviously don't gross people out. In general, that tends not to work too well, and obviously keep it HIPAA compliant. But put time on the calendar to post and create photos, and just document a ton. Have your chiropractic assistant or whoever just start taking a bunch of photos, obviously as legally allowed and everything. Again, HIPAA. But yeah, just either start documenting a ton. I would recommend documenting a ton and then putting a time on the calendar to post and create more photos. Ongoing, again, get a lot of reviews. Some ways to do that are automatic reminders and emails or text messages, whatever, asking people to leave reviews after an appointment. Occasional mass emails asking for reviews to the patient list. Asking patients in person, obviously. Another one that works really well is a review board. I've made a couple of videos on that. Basically, it's a chalkboard. You just handwrite on there. The more handwritten, the better. Hey, would you leave us a review? Could you do us a favor? Would you leave us a review? It really helps us out. And then put a QR code. You can get one of the magnetic chalkboards from Amazon, print out a QR code, stick a magnet on that, and then people see that. And the more handwritten, the better, because people see that, they know effort was put into it. They know it was you, not just you buying it from some company. And then they're more likely to pay attention and leave a review. We've seen really good results from it. And also another thing that could work is giveaways. Obviously, this depends on the kind of legalities in your own area. Do your own research on that. But giveaways can be a pretty good one of, hey, if you leave a review on XYZ platform, send us proof, something like that, you are entered to win this giveaway. Again, do your own research on what that looks like for legalities in your area, because it depends. And so if you want to know what to do to improve your marketing specifically, again, if you'd like help with any of this kind of stuff, we'll help you with a strategy tailored to exactly your practice, what's working, what's not working, and how to improve it all. If that sounds even remotely interesting to you, you can click the link at the top of the description or go to centralhealthsupply.com/contact us. You can choose time to meet and fill out your info. Again, we can go over stuff like this, like Google Business Profile and how to improve it, and do basically the same kind of thing of, hey, here's how to improve your Google Business Profile for all aspects of your marketing and practice growth. So again, if you'd be interested in that, link at the top of the description. Otherwise, I hope this is helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.